Here we are. We are live. Happy Friday, morning, noon, afternoon for everybody who's joining us. Super excited about this morning's chat. I'm excited for every chat. I love everybody. But Shai and I have all this interesting stuff to talk about. Shai, please tell everybody who crazy people don't know you, who you are and what you do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shai Mehani, and I am the CEO and co-founder of In-House Connect. I've struggled with describing In-House Connect, funny enough, because it's like just a lot. But how I describe it now is we are a sponsor-supported community for in-house legal teams. And what that means is because we're sponsor supported, our webinars and our in-person events are free for in-house legal teams across the country. And we host lots of great webinars and in-person events for the in-house legal community.
I love
Does
it.
that
We're going
make
to say
sense,
one more time.
Lucy?
No, that's good. That makes a ton of sense. We're going to say one more time for those in the back. These are free programs, and most of them are CLEs, right? If not, they are, if not all, ton of CLE for free for in-house. So that's how I kind of stumbled upon this, maybe just a couple of years ago, really. But I was like, wait, what is this? Really good topics, interesting speakers. I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's not your usual talking heads, really. I mean, you have a lot of interesting law firms that bring in deeply substantive content. You obviously have a lot of operational type of content. So yeah, I feel like I discovered you for myself, and I was like, yay, we're going to share this. And transparently, we do a lot of stuff together. I mean, there's nothing, I'm always happy to bring whatever content I can to your audience. And so it's been a great experience. And I think you have a great engaged audience. So all good things. And I'm happy to have you, but you have a whole background and all that. So you're not, I don't want to say you're not just an events guy. You've got, you got quite a resume. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to becoming a co-founder of this.
I like to joke that I'm a professional party planner these days, and formerly like a professional webinar host, but I've kind of handed that to Kate. But I started my legal career in 2010, where I graduated from Brooklyn Law School, and it was a really tough time for new lawyers, and I basically took what I can get, and I was fortunate to get a state court clerkship, and my judge was in the matrimonial division, and it was there was never a dull moment, you could say, and that experience allowed me to pursue a career in matrimonial law, which again I wasn't really gunning for out of law school, but life gives you lemons, right? So I practiced matrimonial law for the next 3 years, and not surprisingly, I did not like matrimonial law. I want people to be happy and together, and that's kind of, people who know me now, I guess, can understand that, but you don't really have that so much in matrimonial law. But what I did do a lot of in matrimonial law was write contracts, believe it or not. Basically, when people get divorced and they split up all their stuff and they settle their affairs, it all has to go into a contract, and matrimonial attorneys write that contract up. So that was my first experience writing up contracts. And so eventually I got very lucky. There was an open commercial counsel role at a tech startup based out of the UK. And I had a law school classmate who was a VP of legal there. She helped me get my foot in the door. And very funny, it was Manu Kanwar, who is very famous in the in-house legal world. He does mindfulness training, he does ops training, and so on. He was the GC, and I interviewed with him. Do you know Manu by any chance?
I think we're connected. It's one of the name's super familiar.
Yeah, it's really funny in hindsight, but I interviewed with him for this wonderful role. It was my dream job at the time, and he's like, you do matrimonial law, or you did matrimonial law. What's the relevance to contracts? And I said, well, I'll have you know that I've written tons of contracts, high stakes, blah 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 blah. He gave me the opportunity with this wonderful role, and that was my big break. So I got the job. I joined a networking group at that same time, so a little foreshadowing there. But basically, that's where I started my in-house legal career as a commercial attorney. I learned this tech startup happened to be very particular about their NDAs, very particular about their contracts and their provisions and so on. So it was great training for as a commercial contracts attorney, and I had great mentors who really helped me like step by step figure things out because I was very green at the time. So that was how I got started in house, and then.
And I'm going to pause for a second and just like people are listening are like, what matrimonial law? So I was in commercial bankruptcy, nothing I ever planned, just like you. Life changed, and that's a story for another time. But I was like, God, how did I end up here? But guess what? I had to review a ton of as companies were in the .com bust. I had to review a bunch of SaaS agreements and terminations and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, yay. I do like contracts. Completely weird context, but I think it goes to the moral of the story. It's all about contracts everywhere. I've been saying that forever. Everybody thinks I'm a crazy nerd, but I'm telling you, contracts are the lifeline of business, commerce, money flowing. And once you touch one, you kind of start figuring things out, and then you learn along the way. So anyway, I love that matrimonial law was your springboard into contracting. Who knew? But anyway, back to the Shai story. So now you're in-house, you're doing contracts. How's that going?
It was going great. I really enjoyed it. I went from the tech startup to Saks Fifth Avenue, which was also tremendous. And there I supported the procurement department. And that was super great experience. I mean, everything, right, went through procurement, like SaaS contracts, corrugated boxes, armored cars, literally everything. And I just got to really immerse myself in the business, and that helped inform, my contracting skills were super, super sharp. And that was very interesting experience as well.
Yeah, great. So in-house, so then big company. Okay, so at some point you made a big shift.
Yeah. So so after that, I kind of jumped around a bit. After Saks, I worked at Axiom Attorney. I worked at Casper Mattress, the first mattress in a box company. And that was really interesting. That was the first company in my journey that had a CLM, interestingly enough. So I went
names, but one that's still around.
Yes. Okay. I can even name names. It was Ironclad, interestingly enough.
Okay.
Yes, at Casper, a long, I don't know if they still have it, but that was what they used then. And that was my first, like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. Yeah. And then I went to Salesforce, Salesforce is Salesforce. And that was that was really interesting because that was a whole nother world of contract with order forms and quotes and, playbooks. That was the first playbook I ever encountered. And I was so blown away by that. It was fascinating. Like each provision had a backup and a rationale, and it was fascinating to just experience that and learn from their methodology. And then after that, I got recruited to join Altice, which is Optimum Cable in the Northeast. And there I was marketing and commercial contracts and data privacy. And so I did a lot of everything, and fantastic company. At that point, right, I was still running In-House Connect. It was a lot different than its current format.
So when did In-House Connect get started? So hold on, you got all these cool in-house jobs.
Yeah.
Where? How did In-House Connect come to?
Right. Record scratch. So when I joined this tech startup, I joined a meetup group for in-house counsel in New York City.
Okay.
It was basically, it met once a month. Different law firms hosted the group for free CLE and then a networking reception after. So it was just a meetup group, like meetup.com meetup group. So I joined, I loved it. I volunteered to help run events for the group. I ran events together, and I did this for like 3 or 4 years. Sorry, can you hear me?
Little glitch, you're back. All good. So you did these events for a couple of years.
Somebody called me, and
yes, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and now we have lost Shai for a minute, but I will fill in this space for a second because I know a little bit about his journey. So when I guess this initial meetup started, Shai joined, started doing things, and I think from then really took on this role of co-founder. And I do know how Shai ended up leaving leaving his, I'm just telling your story, Shai, how you ended up leaving in-house live because you realized you were enjoying the meetups and the events.
Yeah. So sorry about that. I have a dual connected Bluetooth headphone, and so basically I was running In-House Connect. I was doing events for In-House Connect for years, and it was like 30. It was like very, very small. Then I said, hey, we're doing all this work. Let's rebrand. Let's go on to LinkedIn. Let's see how big we can get. And at the time, I still couldn't figure out how to get from New York to San Francisco. I kind of, every Saturday morning, I would take a pen and paper and try and figure out, but I just couldn't figure it out. Then COVID hits. And at that point, I saw Zoom was ubiquitous. And I was like, that's it. That's how we get from New York to San Francisco. And my idea was, I was home at my parents' lockdown like everybody else, and I had such a funny thought. I said, what if we can organize a CLE webinar for in-house counsel that was so good it drew ratings like the Super Bowl? Like, what if everybody gathered around?
Aim high. You did it.
Imagine like people around the country are like tuning into this webinar. Like, it is so good. You gotta, and I thought that was so funny. And I thought it was so ridiculous. And I said, wait a minute, like, this makes me laugh and smile. This is exactly what I should be doing. So I set out to went for it, did webinars. They worked out beautifully. We had tons of people tuning in all across the country, and I just continue to build on that. Building a list, building marketing, getting better speakers, topics, so on and so forth. Eventually, we got sponsor support, so I was able to offer CLE. We were able to grow and grow and grow, and that is how In-House Connects got started in its current form.
All right. Well, okay. So that brings us to today, and that brings us to one of the hottest topics that we see everywhere all the time. I'm just saying, predicted this 20 years ago. Contract tech, it's exploded, right? And I like to call it CLM-ish tech because, of course, AI has really kind of smacked CLM in the face, and it's amazing watching it change. But from your perspective, what you're saying, you work with a lot of sponsors, and we are getting a little bit of feedback on your. There's a little bit of a clicking feedback, Shai. I don't know if that's on your side of the speakers. Yeah, we'll see. But let's talk a little bit about what are you seeing and hearing, and let's do two sides. One from the sponsors, right? They're coming to you. You have a lot of CLM tech, CLM-ish tech, companies that want to reach your audience. What's their message? What are you hearing that they want to land, right now? What are the big themes?
Yeah. So. Does that sound better, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is it's incredible for not just CLM tech vendors, but in legal tech a little bit more broadly, how much time and attention is invested in understanding in-house legal teams and their problems, and coming up with innovative solutions. And not only that, that would be normal, but many of these companies go above and beyond to provide community and content and support. This is something I think I'll talk about more on LinkedIn in a post, but it's incredible. One of our mutual partners, whatever, I don't know how, I guess the partner, SpotDraft, for instance, like a month ago, they hosted a mini conference in New York called Beacon, where they brought people together to have, substantive conversations, and they provided just great content. SpotDraft does not have to do this, and SpotDraft isn't the only organization that's doing this. It's just incredible how much these vendors are investing, not just in their products and tools, but in the in-house community in general. And I think that we need to talk about that a little bit, because it's incredible. And again, not just SpotDraft, there's tons of communities that are supported by these vendors, and it's just incredible.
I think that's such an important thing. So I have to admit, maybe I'm just old and grouchy, but I'm like, what's with this community? Yeah. I'm like, you're a SaaS company, you're selling tech, or community? But I stand to learn quite a bit here, and I'm realizing it is a thing. But I see two categories. Okay. I see a fluffy one. Sorry, some of them know who they are, and if they don't, somebody should tap them on the shoulder. It's just fluff. It's noise. It's noise, and I'm not sure any real decisions are being made with the content I'm seeing in that kind of fluffy, noisy area. But then, like what you've just alluded to, we're like, well, you know what? There is substantive community because the speakers are vetted. The content is thoroughly curated. The conversations are not allowed to be salesy, right? You're almost not talking about the tech. How, you who run a community as a profession and a job, I'm curious, how are you seeing that? Do you feel it too? Do you see it where you're like, there's some fluff, and then versus the substance? How are you seeing that evolve right now?
It's really interesting. I think, again, vendors in general are getting an understanding that it's better to be a pure thought leader and to provide pure content rather than, like content masked as sales or sales masked as content. This audience sees right through it, and they hate that. So, most, if not all the vendors are on board with this, which is providing value in terms of content, programming, and opportunities. So I definitely see that shift, and it's a great way to, all these vendors have this great tool that they know can help legal teams and have frankly helped legal teams, and so they want to build a relationship. I think that's really the key. I like to tell people that I work with at In-House Connect, potential sponsors, existing sponsors, I like to say that we're in the relationship business at the end of the day, all of us, every single person, every single company, and it's all about building a relationship. And the hard sell is not going to work. Even the soft sell isn't going to work. It's you build a relationship first and then you go from there. And I see a huge focus on that lately.
It's interesting you say that because what we see, because of course we always ask, well, which system do I buy, right? They're watching your webinars, like, oh, that's a good system. They're learning a ton and they still don't know. They're a little bit overwhelmed with the choices in the market today. And that's a reality and it's okay. There's a little bit of FOMO. There's too many choices. There's not a clear leader right now. It'll take time and that's okay. That's, tech evolution. But what we also spend time on, it's interesting you say that without sounding, cheesy. We're like, it's kind of all about the people. I mean, like you said, the relationships, we really the tech is the table stakes. They want to see a demo. Sure. This is good. That's good. Great. That's all good. But I like to know, who are the founders? What is their mission? What is their background? What's their culture? What kind of a company are they leading and creating, kind of on the front end? Then on the back end of the tech, I like to understand, how do they implement? What kind of a team do they put together? Do they hold the hand of their customers in a really thoughtful way? And then post go live, the ticker tape parade is done. Woohoo, milestone met. We all know, or we should know, for those who don't know, all the hits the fan, right? The day two, buttons aren't doing what you think. People didn't listen to the training. Do they have somebody to call, right? Are they able to really pick up the phone or whatever, send a text and say, something's not working, help? And are these providers going to be like, wow, you're live now, you need to buy support, and that costs another gazillion dollars? So I probably saying it the exact same thing you're saying. There is this human aspect to when you're buying SaaS or you're automating with AI and all the robots are coming. You can't replace the human aspect of it. So it's interesting that you're seeing that as well, because we're seeing it quite a bit, and we're watching this, of course, with all the acquisitions and the mergers and the buyouts and people disappearing and changing jobs and making big money and all these things. And I'm sorry to say, it's causing some bad behavior. So we kind of do our own little psych profile on some of these companies. I don't know what's been your experience, because you've seen lots of changes.
It's super interesting, and I think in-house teams who are looking at these tools, have a lot of choices. And one of the things they should look at is, how committed is this group, is this organization, is this vendor to the in-house world? How do they have roots? Do they support, I know there are many, right? I don't even work with Ironclad, by the way. They have not sponsored anything of ours. So, I'm really objective here. They have a wonderful community and they do lots of great events and lots of great content. That's one example of many. So I think you really have to think about, okay, does this tool fit? And is this organization aligned with what we're trying to do? It's a deeper discussion discussion. It's not just an RFP type thing and you go with the cheapest option. That's like the last thing you should consider. I also want to say I've hosted a number of networking dinners where GCs talk about what's happening and legal tech and so on. And there are, I want to say, like, clearly, I've heard it with my own ears. There are transformational use cases out there. Things that used to take months take minutes now. It is incredible, like the technological advances in this sector. And it's a hugely exciting time, to be an in-house lawyer, or to be an in-house legal ops professional, whatever. When I was in-house, like I said, maybe 3 out of the 4 companies I worked at did not have a CLM, and these are big companies, established organizations. And I think there's just a huge opportunity in general for these tools. So I'm not surprised by all of the fundraising and events and explosion that we're seeing today.
It is. It's a crazy time to be in this. But now let's talk. So we talked a little bit about, like, from the vendor and the sponsor side, what they're trying to achieve and what they're doing. Yeah. And it's great to hear, like you're saying, really like a positive vibe. And I think that's taken some time to morph too, where people are now really focusing on substance and content, which of course I love. Big fan of good content. Now let's shift to the buyer side, right? So you've got people who are joining webinars. Sometimes, even the topic starts feeling a little bit similar. It's like, but they get a different flavor every time. But if you were, to put yourself in the shoes of your attendees, how should they be approaching? What do they do after they listen to a webinar? How do they kind of make some order out of this chaos? What do you think?
Yeah. So it's a great question. First, I want to just say hi to the chat. I see a number of people chiming in. It says LinkedIn user on my side, so I don't know who that is, but thank you. Hey, Damaris. Hey, Ricardo. And great to have you tuning in. What I would do is, so it's really interesting, and I think I have a counterintuitive answer. I think, watch all of our webinars, right? They're very valuable and important. But most importantly, you have to get a good sense of what's going on at your organization. And like, what does your org need? What is your use case? You got to be crystal clear on that before you even begin the buying process or the journey or scoping it out. It starts with you, it starts with you and your use case. So, and what you need. So that's like the first thing I would say,
Can I just please underline that I did not prep you for this. You are preaching what we preach over and over and over and over and over again, because you can't go out shopping if you don't know what you need. It's like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. We all know what happens. We all know what that looks like when you get home. So, okay. You agree. You are hearing and seeing the same thing. Okay.
Don't even watch the webinars if you don't have a sense of what you are looking for. It's just going to be a mess. And definitely don't go to the supermarket hungry. Your significant other will be very unhappy with you.
That's right. Okay, so we hear you got to be ready, right? So that's okay. One thing. What else are you hearing from the folks who then are finding themselves I'm learning, I'm educating myself, I'm a little overwhelmed. What are you hearing from that?
I think, look, the world, if you're a CLM buyer right now or a contract tools, I kind of want to broaden it to contract tools. So if you're a contract tools buyer, you have a lot of influence and power right now. There's only a limited number of you and lots of vendors that are vying for your time and attention. So my advice is do trials. Right, they will let you trial their service and their products. Trial it, try it out, see how it is. Get that experience, and then whittle it down. And that all circles back to having a clear idea of what you want, what you need, and what you want in a tool. And once you have that coupled with the trial, and then whittle it down until you get to the right solution. I would also highlight. Pay attention to implementation. I think that's like the number one sinkhole, if you will, or the pothole or the whatever. That is, implementation is really, really hard. in my role as an event planner or community organizer. I'll upgrade myself, community organizer. I personally have tried to implement like a new website. We had talked about this in person, Lucy. I've tried to do that, and we bungled the implementation like so tremendously. And I have like my own, like I know how it feels is I guess what I'm trying to say. So make sure that you figure out what does implementation look like, because that things can go super sideways just on that one issue alone. And if you can't get this tool implemented, you're not going to have, that's a disaster basically.
Okay, so honestly, if you ever get sick of planning events, you're going to come work with me, because you are preaching and we're like these boring. We're like the parents that are like, please plan, please don't do anything stupid, because it's so exciting right now, right? And these tools are so exciting and they're promising big things, and I think they can deliver. But yeah, go ahead.
I raised my hand. There are tools that can achieve implementation like a lot faster, and that's the AI advantage.
And you're right. It's not so. I think one thing that's happening also is we're seeing a morph from these months-long, painful implementations that were severely underplanned and underprepped for, and then people get frustrated and blah blah, and they blame the tech and all that. We've seen that story. It's still playing over and over, but we've seen that. What you're saying is spot on. These AI native tools, they go live really quickly. Yeah. But to extract value from them, you still have to plan. You still have to know what it means. So maybe implementation is redefined, but that kind of post go live. So now what? So now we have it. I can tell my C-suite, yes, legal has an AI tool for contracting. What's the consumption? What's the value? Are there time savings? Or what's actually happening? That needs to be all part of the implementation plan. So I think, I don't care whether you call it implementation plan, post-implementation. The point is planning. I'm sorry. This requires planning. This is not a spontaneous, fun thing to do. Use ChatGPT to plan recipes and trips. Great. Like that's spontaneous fun. And we love when lawyers start even there, getting comfortable prompting. But you're spot on, and you're really preaching to the choir. I will say, I've never done this before, but I'm going to, because I love to experiment. All of this is an experiment. I have a little QR code. We are doing a system selection workshop. First one ever. Everything's an experiment. I'm very transparent with that. The content is not experimental. We've actually packed into 90 minutes the things that we take months to deliver to very, high-end consulting engagements, let's call it. We've tried to put it into a quick drive-through service for people who want to make progress this fiscal year and plan for next, because we're hungry to get the word out. And I think, Shai, what you're doing is you're creating this amazing platform for community, and we're seeing people exchanging honest information. We tell that all the time also to clients, to prospective, anybody who calls us. We're like, talk to your peers. We connect them too. We're like, you know what, talk to them. They just had this experience. They just had that experience. Our job is not to pick a favorite system, which, by the way, we're completely agnostic, as you are. We have no allegiance, but picking what's right for people's unique, circumstance, I think is key. And what you're saying is you have to plan, and you have to know what you want. We have just 2 minutes. We can go on forever, as you know we do. But let's talk about something fun that you and I are conspiring about secretly. An event next year. My team's going to kill me. I'm not making any promises. I promise I'm not making any promises. But should we do like a deep dive into CLM planning and picking and implementing? What do you think?
I'm just going to share my thoughts, and my thought is I am extremely grateful to you and your team for all the content you put out on CLM and helping, cut through the noise and demystify. I mean, you are a prolific speaker, author, it's just tremendous what you do. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all the contributions you've given to In-House Connect and the in-house community. A lot of these engagements you do for free, and I know that the opportunity with the QR code, I think it's like $100 a ticket, well worth it, and frankly a bargain and a steal. So thank you, Lucy, and everybody behind the scenes, Lara, Sarah, so on, Kristen, everybody at ILG for all that you do for this wonderful community. We, part of my mission, our mission with In-House Connect is to help in-house counsels and in-house legal teams advance through content, community, and connection. And legal tech is a huge part of it. We want to advance that. So definitely we're working on, I think, a webinar series, maybe an event. Events are hard, but I'm a professional planner now, so hopefully we can make something happen. But I'm in person, virtual.
And that's the thing we want to hear. I mean, really, we want to hear what will work for people. I mean, they're buried right now. They're flooded with content. As you and I know, there's content. We need people to have like hands-on stuff. And I think that's the other thing. We're trying to really use the word workshop intentionally. Like you're going to work, and it's a small group, and it's a study hall, right?
I want to say one other thing. And this is like credit for me and for you, but more you. I love that you're objective. You work with lots of different, lots of different options, and it's super easy to, compromise your objectivity and your integrity. And it's a testament to you that you don't. Personally, I have been offered advisory shares at a couple of different companies, and they went on to raise lots and lots of money and are big successes. But I felt like I just couldn't. It wouldn't be fair to the other sponsors if I have a financial interest in other organizations. So that's why I didn't do it. So I'm like kicking. I saw like a big raise recently, and I'm like, damn, I should have done it, but it's okay. That's the price of integrity, and it's so valuable. So thank you, Lucy, and your team for the amazing service you provide, your objectivity, and being a trusted resource for so many to help navigate these uncharted waters. And they're like they could be like the Bermuda Triangle, frankly. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you. No, and you brought up a really tough point, and we wrestle with this all the time. And there's the personal roles, and people I'm an investor in companies, and you're like, well, I remember when I was at Microsoft, I'm like, wait a minute, why do we have so many people at Microsoft that are investing in Apple? And I didn't understand it, and it felt wrong. Yeah. So there is a line to draw, and it probably isn't wrong. And as long as you're just, it's tough.
Yeah.
We're trying to run a business and offer value and be really true to ourselves. And I know you and I have that in common, and we can do another whole webinar on that. But thank you so much. I'm going to be respectful of everyone's time and your time. Okay. We'll probably have to do another round of these, but stay tuned.
Yeah, why not?
More great content from In-House Connect. And thank you all.
And ILG.
Absolutely.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you.